have moved on, not because I've forgotten you, but because I've realized that my happiness doesn't depend on your presence anymore. I've learned that healing is a journey and the past is where it belongs, behind me. I've finally let go of the weight that once held me down. I have moved on, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. The person I am today is stronger, wiser, and more aware of my worth than ever before. Moving on wasn't an easy decision, but it was the most necessary one. I've allowed myself to heal, to rediscover joy, and to love myself again. The past may have shaped me, but it will no longer define me. The day I moved on was the day I realized that I deserve more than just memories. I deserve a future filled with peace, love, and endless possibilities. I've moved on, not because I don't care anymore, but because I care too much to stay in a place where I'm not valued. I've made room for new beginnings and brighter days. I no longer need to chase the past, for I've learned that my future holds so much more than I could ever imagine. The person I was before may be gone, but the person I've become is more than enough. Moving on is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It's knowing when to step away from what no longer serves you and making space for what will nourish your soul. There's a peace that comes with moving on. It's not about forgetting, it's about finding acceptance and knowing that the end of one chapter is just the beginning of another. I have moved on, and in doing so, I found that the love I had been searching for was always within me. No longer will I seek validation from others. I am enough just as I am. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about realizing that holding on is only holding me back. I've moved on, not because I've stopped caring, but because I've started caring for myself more. Moving on doesn't mean I don't look back with fondness. It simply means I've learned to embrace my future with hope and strength. The past will always be a part of me, but it no longer controls me. I have moved on, not because I don't still think about you, but because I've realized that my own happiness is my responsibility. I'm no longer waiting for someone else to complete me. There's a power in letting go. It's a quiet revolution that allows you to reclaim your own life, your own heart, and your own dreams. I've moved on, and with that, I've found peace. The hardest part wasn't saying goodbye. It was accepting that sometimes the best way to love someone is from a distance. I have moved on, but I will always wish you the best. I have moved on, not out of anger, but because I deserve a love that nourishes my soul and elevates my spirit. I've let go of what wasn't meant for me to make space for what is. I've realized that moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It means accepting the reality that sometimes love alone isn't enough. I've learned to embrace the journey of healing and personal growth. The truth is, moving on doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process, a series of small steps that lead to a big change, but eventually you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. I've moved on not because it's easy, but because it's necessary for my peace of mind. Holding on to the past only keeps me stuck, and I deserve to move forward with a heart full of hope. Sometimes, the hardest part of moving on is forgiving yourself for holding on for so long. But in that forgiveness, you'll find freedom and the strength to move forward. I've moved on because I've learned that I can't keep waiting for someone else to change. I have to change myself, for my happiness is in my hands, not someone else's. Moving on isn't about erasing memories, it's about creating new ones. I've let go of the past so I can embrace a future that is full of new opportunities, growth, and love. I have moved on because I've realized that my future is too bright to stay stuck in the shadows of my past. I've chosen to walk towards the light and trust that better things are ahead. The process of moving on is never linear. Some days are harder than others, but every step forward is a step closer to the peace and happiness I deserve. I've moved on, but I don't regret anything. Every experience, every heartbreak, and every lesson has shaped me into the person I am today, a person ready to move forward with love and grace. Moving on isn't forgetting the past, it's choosing not to let it hold you hostage anymore. I've broken free from what was holding me down and opened my heart to the endless possibilities ahead. I've moved on because I've realized that my life isn't defined by the relationships I've had, but by the person I am becoming. I'm worthy of love, happiness, and peace. I've moved on, but I've also embraced the lessons I learned along the way. They've made me wiser, stronger, and more aware of what I need to thrive. Sometimes you have to let go to grow. I've moved on because I've learned that growth doesn't happen when you're holding on to things that no longer serve you. Moving on is not about pretending everything is okay. It's about acknowledging the pain and still choosing to move forward because you know there is better waiting for you. I've moved on, and with each passing day, I feel lighter. It's as if I've shed the weight of my past and can finally breathe again. The truth is, you don't really move on until you start living for yourself, not for the memories or what could have been, but for the person you are becoming. I've moved on, and while it hasn't been easy, it's been the most freeing decision I've ever made. There's a power in taking control of your life and choosing to move forward. It's hard to let go, but sometimes it's necessary for your soul to grow. I've moved on, and I've never felt more alive, more connected to my own heart. I've moved on not because I've erased you from my heart, but because I've learned to carry the memories with love and gratitude without letting them weigh me down. In moving on, I've learned that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from something that no longer brings you peace or joy. I have moved on, and in doing so, I've realized that I am my own source of happiness. I no longer need validation from others to feel whole. I've learned that moving on isn't about forgetting, it's about accepting that what's meant for you will come and what's not meant for you will fall away. Letting go is hard, but holding on to something that isn't meant for you is even harder. I've moved on because I've chosen to honor my own worth and happiness. I have moved on not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Life goes on, and so do I. The only way to grow is to keep moving forward. Moving on isn't about closing a door. It's about walking through it with your head held high, knowing that the best is yet to come. I've moved on, but I've carried the lessons with me. Every heartache, every triumph has shaped me into a person who knows their worth and isn't afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve them. I've moved on because I've learned that no one can define my happiness but me. It's time to stop living in the past and start creating a future full of love, joy, and endless possibilities. The process of moving on may feel lonely at times, but in solitude, I've found strength, clarity, and a deeper understanding of what I truly need. I've moved on, but I've realized that moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It simply means choosing to release the hold that the past had on me so I can live freely and fully. Sometimes letting go is the hardest part. But once you do, you'll realize that your soul was waiting for the freedom to soar. I've moved on, and now I'm free. I have moved on because I know that the right person will meet me where I am, and they will love me not for my past, but for who I am becoming. I've moved on not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I realized that the person I was waiting for was never going to show up, and that person was me. I have moved on, not because I've stopped caring, but because I've come to understand that sometimes the best way to care for someone is to let them go. Letting go has freed me. It's allowed me to embrace my own life and make room for new possibilities and new experiences. I've moved on, and I feel lighter than ever. I've moved on, and in doing so, I've discovered that the power to heal was always within me. No one else can complete me. I am complete on my own. I've moved on not because I don't still think about you, but because I've realized that my own happiness cannot be held hostage by someone else's actions or decisions. Moving on isn't just a decision, it's a process. It's about allowing yourself to feel, to grieve, and eventually to embrace the future with open arms. I have moved on, not with bitterness, but with peace. I've learned that the best way to honor the past is to move forward into a future full of hope and possibility. I've learned that moving on doesn't mean there's no love left. It simply means I'm learning to love myself first, and that's a journey worth taking. I've moved on because I realized that the only way to grow is to release what no longer serves me. I'm ready for the next chapter, and it's going to be amazing. I've moved on, not because I'm over everything, but because I've chosen to put myself first. It's time to heal, to grow, and to embrace the future with confidence. I've moved on, and now I realize that the person I was waiting for was the person I needed to become. Sometimes moving on isn't about forgetting the past. It's about finding peace with it and choosing to embrace the future with an open heart.